Morrison from Metatrex.
Oh, yeah.
I just bought his book. I'm getting it tomorrow.
Hannah Goodhart.
Yes. So I'm getting that tomorrow. So after that, I'm reading the lore books. But I'm obsessed with that stuff. Like when I was in Savannah, Georgia, I bought the ghost stories of Savannah, Georgia. I don't really believe in ghosts. However, it focuses on the lore of the places that these ghost stories take place in. And lore is just history. It may be twisted and tweaked a little bit or seen from a different angle, but you can read through that and figure out with fair, decent amount of accuracy what really happened and didn't happen, or the story it's trying to tell in a fableized kind of way, which is exactly what she's trying to create for these Borg, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think she's going to get killed or taken away before that happens, because I'd love to see the lore that they create, and I don't think we're going to get that, but maybe, just maybe, we get it in a book.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Yes, definitely. So what did you think about when Rhonda was like, I remember you. I remember
from tomorrow.
You from tomorrow.
So she's a seer.
Yeah.
So, clearly something important was supposed to happen tomorrow that now is not going to happen, because if you follow time travel weird things, right? She was trying to prevent whatever was going to happen tomorrow by killing her, because she's the destroyer. She might remember her without ever meeting her, too, because she's the destroyer. So whatever she was supposed to do, she was going to try and kill her before she gets to do it. And had history been able to play itself out without them meeting, then she would have known her from the stories told about her, not necessarily ever actually meeting her. I never met Charles Manson. However, I remember the name.
Right. Yeah. And did you love that whole cinematography of it going back and forth between Picard not interviewing.
Oh, no, it's interrogating, which is a type of interview.
Yeah, that was a stronger word. With Picard interrogating the prisoner that came and attacked him at the chateau, and then, Soji and Ramda, and it went back and forth, and, it's like, who are you? Which one are you? And Picard's asking, well,
where is she?
Where is she? And it's like, are you the one who dies or the one who lives? And oh my gosh, it was so brilliant. I loved that back and forth. Like Hannah Lee Culpepper did a great job with that.
Fantastic job, because the two narratives were in lockstep the whole way through. Yes. And they both started kind of mundane. I mean, so Zhaban is about to bash him in the side of the head to wake him up, and she yells at him and says, "Stop! We're not like them anymore," which I loved. So really bringing down the temp in the room, right? At the same time, Picard is talking to Gelati. So again, and he's like, "Of course, you're bad at lying. I don't blame you for any of this." Like, right at the same time, we have the other side of that conversation happening in the Reclamation Center, where they're just building up their conversation and it's not heated. So both are pretty mellow at this moment. Even though a minute ago he's about to punch the guy in the head, everything's calmed down on both sides. And through this, we start to see them escalate together, and we see them both say, one right after the other, "You're the destroyer. She's the destroyer." And then, she grabs the gun, he spits the venom, the poison, but it looks like venom because it's green. It catches the jacket, but then he goes away, and they grab her, and then Hugh, we didn't even talk about the fact that this is Hugh, by the way.
We'll
Hugh,
get there.
I know. Hugh says, "Don't take her, take him. You should have your gun holstered or not in the room," or whatever he said. So, and why would you have a gun in that room is beyond me, because you wouldn't in real life. So.
Yeah, that build-up was so... It was beautiful, and both times that I watched it, I was just like, it is perfect. It's in step. It's telling the story. We're getting it, and we're getting the suspension, and it's like, oh my gosh, what is the destroyer?
And more importantly,
Soji. Yeah.
Of that scene alone, more important to me, I should say, the crescendo was worth the build.
Yes.
Because as it's going, you're like, come on, I want to know, because you see it's heating up, right? And then when it gets to the last part that she's the destroyer, and the best part of that scene for me was as she jumps up, clearly she's not just a regular human the way she moved, right? Like, everyone had to notice this. But as she jumps up, she knocks the table, and when the cards land, the twins land face up on top of other cards.
Yes. The twin card. Yes. Bringing back the whole twin thing and how they're made and stuff like that. Oh my gosh. See? Ooh, I'm just getting the chills all over again.
Yep. It was phenomenally done.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about Hugh. I totally, not gonna lie, missed it the first time around.
Really? I only watched it once, and it slapped me in the face.
No, I just do. And it was my brother who was getting online on social media and looking up things. And he's like, hey, did you know that was Hugh? And I'm like, no. And then I was like, oh, Jonathan Del Arco. Yes. And I, just because I know his face from, all the interviews and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? Then in my second rewatch with the closed captioning, Soji was like, I'm working with Hugh. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, question to you. Hugh is not Romulan.
No, but Hugh is the cause of the collapse.
Because Soji asked Ramda, something went wrong with the assimilation. The submatrix collapsed.
Correct.
You were the last person on the ship to be assimilated by the Borg.
Well, you were the last ship to be assimilated.
Yes.
We don't know if she was the last of the ship, but yes. She was in the last 25.
Yeah. And so you were brought on board, so it seems like that ship would have been the cause of that's sort of what it sounded like was that they were leading to.
Yes, but I don't agree that necessarily that has to be the case.
Right, no.
Just because I download or we record this podcast, if my computer fries in 10 minutes, this podcast didn't cause my computer to fry in 10 minutes.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So the question is, like, she's saying these things like, your ship was the last one that this cube assimilated and the submatrix collapsed. And then we see her talking to her boyfriend, whatever stupid guy's name is, saying, I didn't even know. So it's like she didn't know. She doesn't know that she knows what she knows that she knows, right?
But that follows with Daj, right? Because Daj didn't know how she knew to go to Picard.
Okay. Wow. But then she sort of, tries to justify it in her mind. Like, well, I must have read some file. I must have, remembered reading Shaynor, the Romulan ship. Like, she's trying to justify it. She's trying to connect it.
Yeah, because no one said to her, you're a synth. Like, no one said that to her yet. Because Daj didn't know why she was able to suplex a guy. Like, she didn't know why she was able to fight back and do all the crazy stuff she was able to do, or why she was going to Picard, or why she even knew who he was, or where he lived. Like, none of that stuff made any sense to her until Picard looked at her and was like, very cryptically, you're a synth. Like,
yeah.
Not until that moment. And then even then she was like, no, I'm not. I have nothing in common with those people who murdered people. Like,
yeah.
Even to that moment, like, her whole worldview was being destroyed at that moment. Because her worldview was that she was a human and synths were horrible. That's enough to make a person go mad, by the way. But she couldn't explain how she could figure out how to find him without security clearances.
Yeah.
You actually would expect more pushback in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Go have a political debate with somebody who's completely opposite you and doesn't really talk much to people on the other side, and watch how both of you don't want to really hear the other person's opinion.
Right.
And that's kind of where she's at, because she believes synths are horrible. Now she's being told she is one.
Right. Yeah. That would, be world destroying for that person. Yeah.
Your worldview and your sense of moral compass has just been thrown completely off. So it's only natural that the brain, even though we're talking about a synthetic brain now, would try and cope in other ways by, well, I must have read it and don't remember reading it. It just kicked in to my memory when I saw her and was talking. So subconsciously, I always knew, although that's not really the right term either, however. But I always knew, but I didn't know I knew until I needed to know. Then I knew I knew. And if you followed that, congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Okay, so still talking about Soji and her stupid boyfriend.
So we're never going to give this guy a name, right? He's just going to be stupid boyfriend?
Yes.
I just want to know the terminology here, because I'll go with whatever. I don't really care. But
okay, the reason why I call him stupid boyfriend is because she shares all of this worry and concern, and she's like, I don't know how I knew this, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, can I tell you a secret? I may be falling in love with you. Gross, yuck, gag me with a spoon. What guy thinks that that is going to work on any intelligent woman? I'm sorry, that is the worst move ever. It made my skin crawl, Pat. I did not like that. You don't change the subject. I think I may be falling in love with you. Either, first of all, you either know that you are or that you're not.
Oh, wait,
so don't be all pussyfooting around it.
Wait. I'm not one to mince words. We know this. So
yes.
Okay. I would know if I was falling in love with you or not. But I know people who aren't sure.
Then you don't say anything until you are sure.
Okay, how about this?
Opinion.
I got a better point. Maybe, and we're not talking about this scenario because he clearly... maybe he is, however. Maybe they're going to run that story. But because the sister even makes a point, make sure you don't fall in love. So maybe they're going to run that story that way. But let's take this from a different perspective of just two random people. Maybe he does know, and he doesn't know how she feels. So he doesn't want to be too vulnerable.
So he's a wuss, and therefore not worth any woman's time.
Wow, that's rough. You just didn't like him before that anyway, so let's not lie and act like this is all because of that one line.
Well, it just made me not like him either. Yeah. And I saw on social media, they're like, well, he's the bad guy that we love to hate, and then he's going to fall in love and then do the right thing, and then he's going to, and I'm like, they better not do that because I do not like him, and I do not see me liking him ever.
Do you want to stop watching now or wait till that happens?
It's not going to happen.
They wouldn't have had the sister say it if that wasn't part of the plan.
Okay, can we talk about this brother-sister relationship? Who stands that close to their sibling, sniffs them, and says, ooh, I can smell her? What sibling relationship does that?
I don't know. I watched Game of Thrones. There were way worse sibling relationships in that show.
Well, that is true. Granted, I will give you that.
It was
but
way
I'm
worse
talking
relationships.
Real life. It totally reminded me. Do you watch Friends? When Rachel
This is the second conversation on Friends I've had today, and I don't even watch. I've never watched the show. Go on.
Oh my gosh. Listeners, you can join in with me because I know you watched Friends. So Rachel was trying to date the guy upstairs, and she thought that she saw him in the subway with his arm around a woman, and then she goes up and it's like, oh, it's your sister. But then they have like a tickle fight, and they take baths together, and it's like, whoa, this is not good. So that's what it reminded me of.
Sure. I mean, I've seen that in other shows somewhere. I don't know where. I couldn't pick a show that's happened in, but it's definitely happened elsewhere. Weird places. But I don't know.
No, it just is weird. But
it's weird, but if you're just trying to smell for another human, I guess it's not as weird as like your sister actually taking a bath with you.
Well, and I guess it does make sense because in Nemesis, again, a fabulous movie, that Shinzon doesn't like the smell.
Correct.
Yeah. So maybe there's that connection there. But did you love how the sister, she had some shoulders? She had some shoulders going on. I'm like, yep, you're rocking it, girl.
But so she, yay, he, nay.
That's correct.
Nay, both.
But I did love his line where she was like, well, killing Daj was a bad move. And then he whispers, again, way too close. And why whispering? That was your mistake. I'm paraphrasing, but I loved that part of it.
Yeah, it was miscalculation was the word they used.
Yes, that was your miscalculation.
Yes. Yeah, I do like that he throws that in her face that way.
Yeah. So they are tit for tat, and he doesn't seem any subservient even though she obviously is the elder and is sort of running things, but he's not taking any guff from her. But their relationship is driving